Hi everyone! Thank you for joining me for our Shading Shapes video on cones. This one is a little bit different, so I'm glad that you're watching it. It's not as straightforward as the sphere, and I'm going to point out why in a moment here. So that's my final cone drawing. And you're going to have your same setup. You're going to do your light box, your direct light source, and your shape. So I just want to point out some things about the cone. I used the same cone that is in your drawing kits, but it is a pretty thin paper cone, just like a little Dixie cup. And as you can see, this ring of light here is actually not the reflected light. It is just the light shining through the paper, and the cone is not sitting completely flat on my paper because we cut them so they would fit a little bit better in your kits. So you might run into some of the same issues, but the best advice I can give you is to just draw what you see, because that's kind of what I did. You'll see that there are some areas where the paper folds over that might create some different values than if this was just like a wooden cone block that was solid, but that's okay. You're still getting great observational drawing practice, and don't let it trip you up too much. So just like with the sphere, I'm just really lightly with the 2H pencil starting to sketch out the shapes that I'm seeing, and then I'm going right into getting those values down. Because really, if you spend too much time on your outline, you're going to end up with an outlined shape instead of a form that has been created using value. And there's kind of a highlight on the cone from a little wrinkle in the paper that I chose to draw. If you want to pretend like this cone is solid and you just want to go for it and say that's the general value of this area, you can do that too. Just do your best to draw what you see. And I didn't mention this in the sphere, but as you can see, I'm drawing that darker background from the black paper of my light box, and that is also really going to help build some realism, and it'll kind of help you too. So on the right side of my cone, it's the same value all on that side, even as the background changes. You go from your cast shadow to the white of the bottom of the light box to the black paper on the sides of the light box, but that value all stays the same, even though it looks different against those different areas. Because like I said, value is all about what's next to each other. We can really only tell the difference between things based on what's next to it that's different. You might look at the edge of a table or the corner of a table and you know that it's all the same color, but when it turns over on an edge, it's going to be a different value. These are just some of the things that you can start noticing the more you draw. You'll start to notice that in your house and just everyday objects that you see. So I just talked over all of that value, so I'm going to back that up a little bit. Just like in the sphere, I used all my pencils to build up my value, so I wasn't just pressing really hard with my pencil. This here looks a little bit like an outline at the bottom of my cone, but that was actually a shadow that was there just because of the quality of the paper cone. That's what it looked like, so that's how I drew it. And I also had my light source in there. And then again, we are going to identify the parts of light. So you have your light source, your highlight, your middle or transitional value, your core shadow, your reflected light, and your cast shadow. So there is my highlight. In all of these drawings of my shapes, I have my light source coming from the same direction. You can choose to mix it up if you want. I just had a floor lamp next to me, so it would have been pretty tricky to change it to the other side. But if you want some more dynamic light, you could try from the top or from a different side. Definitely mix it up a little bit. Try to make an interesting cast shadow. And there you can see me writing core shadow, but that is the cast shadow. I go back and change it. Nobody's perfect. It's okay. And you don't have to label yours. That's not part of the assignment, but I recommend it. It just helps you practice identifying these parts of light. Because as you can see, even I mixed it up. So it's great to get some practice. All right, so that was shading your cone. If this was the second video that you watched, you just have one more to go. Thanks for hanging with it.